This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Folklore of the Santal Parganas. Translated by Cecil Henry Bompas. Part 1. XXIII. The Boy Who Found His Father. Recorded by Frank Farash. There was once a boy who used always to cheat when playing kati, pitch and toss, and for this the village boys with whom he played used to quarrel with him, saying, "Fatherless orphan, why do you cheat?" So one day he asked his mother why they called him that name and whether his father was really dead. "He is alive," said she, "but a long time ago a rhinoceros carried him off on its horn." Then the boy vowed that he would go in search of his father, and made his mother put him up provisions for the journey. And he started off taking with him an iron bow and a big bundle of arrows. He journeyed on all day, and at nightfall he came to a village. There he went up to the house of an old woman to ask for a bed. He stood at the threshold and called out to her, "Granny, Granny, open the door." "I have no son, and no grandchildren to call me Granny," grumbled the old woman, and went to open the door to see who was there. And when she opened the door and saw him, she said, "Oh, you are my grandson." "Yes," answered he, "I am your grandchild." So she called him inside and gave him a bed to sleep on. The old woman was called Huti-Budi, and she and the boy sat up late talking together, and then they lay down to sleep. But in the middle of the night he heard the old woman crunching away, trying to bite his bow to pieces. He asked her what she was eating. "Some pulse I got from the village headman." "Give me a little to try," he begged. "I am sorry, my child, I have finished it all." But really she had none to give. However, she only hurt her jaws biting, so that she began to groan with pain. "What are you groaning for, Granny?" said the boy. "Because I have a toothache," she answered. And in truth her cheeks were badly swollen. Then he told her that a good cure for toothache was to bite on a white stone, and she believed him, and the next morning got a piece of white quartz and began to bite on it. But this only broke her teeth and made her mouth bleed, so that the pain was worse than before. Then the boy jeered at her and said, "Did you think, Granny, that you could bite my iron bow and arrows?" So saying, he left her and continued the search for his father, and his road led him to a dense jungle which seemed to have no end. And in the middle of the jungle he came to a lake, and he sat down by it to eat what was left of the provisions he had brought. As he sat, he suddenly saw some cow bison coming down to the lake. At this he caught up his bow and arrows in a hurry and climbed up a tall sal tree. From the tree he watched the bison go down to the water to drink, and then go back into the jungle. And after them tigers and bears came down to the water. The sight of them frightened him, and he sang, "Drink your fill, tiger. I shall not shoot you. I shall shoot the giant rhinoceros." And they drank and went away. Then various kinds of birds came, and after them a great herd of rhinoceroses, and among them was one which had the dried-up body of the boy's father stuck on its horn. The boy was rather frightened, and sang, "Drink your fill, rhinoceroses. I shall not shoot you. I shall shoot the giant rhinoceros." And when the giant rhinoceros with the body of his father stooped its head to drink from the lake, he put an arrow through it, and it turned a somersault and fell over dead, while all the other rhinoceroses turned tail and ran away. Then the boy climbed down from the tree and pulled the dead body of his father off the horn of the dead animal, and laid it down at the foot of a tree and began to weep over it. As he wept, a man suddenly stood before him and asked what was the matter, and when he heard, said, Cry no more. Take a cloth and wet it in the lake, and cover your father's body with it, and then whip the body with a myrtle twig, and he will come to life." So saying, the stranger suddenly disappeared, and the boy obeyed his instructions, and behold, his father sat up alive, and rubbing his eyes, said, "I must have been asleep a very long time." Then his son explained to him all that had happened, and gave him some food, and took him home. End of XXIII, The Boy Who Found His Father.